faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative!
It's a liberal! It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Good morning, and welcome to another adventure into podcast radio. I am your host, the evil Mike Wiley, former evil radio talk show host, now evil podcast host. Hold on, there's a call coming in. Yeah, I know I was right. Yeah, I saw the thing on Obama. We're going to talk about it. Yeah. Everything I said was right. For 3 years, everything I've said was right, but everybody's going, oh, you can't do anything about it. Wake up, America. That wasn't Barack. This is Barack. Congratulations, Virginia. Republicans are trying to tilt the midterm elections in their favor. And you're not? But they haven't done it yet. Thanks for showing us what it looks like to stand up for our democracy and fight back. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. The people who want to turn us into a democracy are the people who are Marxist, communist, scumbag pigs. I think I've covered that. This is a crime. What's going on? Now, I hate to tell you this, but I've been doing this now for about 3 years. I've been pretty much right on with everything I've said. And the reason why is because I use facts. I take documentation and I review it and analyze it and I figure out who's trying to stab the American people in the back. Take one guess. The people who are supporting Iran, the Democrats. The people who are against Israel, the Democrats. The people who are against American citizens, the Democrats. The people who are in favor of illegal immigrants coming over the borders, costing us $150 to $200 billion. But we're not going to pay $5 billion for Trump's wall. No, that's a waste of money. We'd rather waste $200 billion on people. They're going to vote for us even if they're illegal, because we're going to make them legal. So I'm going to present to you today some information, and maybe that will get you off your ass and decide what to do, okay? Now, I understand, Mike, we can't do anything. We don't have any leadership. Well, hopefully, pretty soon, Tulsi Gabbard will be coming out with all the stuff to put Barack Obama, the Kenyan criminal, away. First of all, going from 6 to 5 and then 10 to 1 is not just an adjustment. It's a strategic criminal act known as fraud. And it should be stopped, and it probably will be stopped. The problem is, will it get to a court in time to be stopped? Now, who is Virginia? This is Virginia. Okay? See the red? Those are the red Republican districts, and the blue are the Democrat districts. And you'll notice up here on top, districts 10, 11, and 8. Now, do you want to know what these people did during 2020 election? Let me just mention to you, okay, the 2020 election was the first time in Virginia state history that they did not follow the procedures to ensure the credibility of the election. Oh, we ran out of time. Yeah, I just asked Mike. We were there, and I don't know, the cigarette fell under the carpet, and so we couldn't do it.
we couldn't prove that the election wasn't fixed.
Because they would have proved that it was fixed. But we all know that, don't we? We just don't do a damn thing about it. But so I'm going to help you here. Now, here's some proof. All this stuff I've already talked about, this I've already got shows on it, but I wanted to hammer away at some things. Okay, this is a printout with extra ink of the election results in 2020. Remember those 3 district dimensions, the 2 big blue districts here? Remember these, huh? See them blue districts? CD10, Biden got 72% of the mail-in vote. 28% went to Trump. CD11, 79% of the mail-in vote went to Biden. 21% went to Trump. And then CD8, 80% went to Biden, and 21% or 20% went to Trump. Okay? All right. They were fixing the election. Now, why were they fixing the election? Because they had to. Okay? Those darn black people aren't voting Democrats no more. We got to do something about it. Well, maybe we can replace them with illegal aliens and we pay them to do everything we want. And we'll fill out the paperwork for them and they can vote without even going in to vote. And we'll win every election for the rest of our lives until the American people line us up against the wall and shoot us. Oh, that is one method of treason.
Huh, yeah.
So, I'm just showing you stuff, and then just little reminders like, see this? Can you tell me what year 2020 was on this schedule? Can you just guess where extra 15, 20 million votes came from and then disappeared? Huh? Yeah, 2020. You think that proves election was fraud? Okay, cost of the border crisis, $151 billion.
No, don't spend $5 billion for a wall. No, don't do that.
Okay. Gerrymandering. These are 5 red states. Do you agree that they're red states? Would you agree that geographically they're red states? But unfortunately, they're run by people in the blue zones. That's what Virginia's trying to do. They're trying to minimize their Virginia blue zones, but control more of the state. And that's what we're going to work at and try to stop today. And I've got the solution, but I can't do it alone. I mean, all I can do is tell you. I'm just going to throw some more things out to you before we get to this, okay? Here's the thing on the 2020 United States Postal Service crisis. There were major changes being made in the Postal Service because it's costing too much money to mail. So they went through and they figured out all the Postal Service areas that we don't really need, and they cost too much money and they don't really provide that much service. But the Congress went,
oh, no, you can't do that. We're going to cheat the elections. We got to have all those machines working, or the fake mail-in ballots just won't get anywhere.
Yeah, they did that. Okay. This is just a quick one. The Chinese Communist agent, ex-Senator, Energy Secretary Granholm. Okay, she did 2 things. Number 1, she contacted China first, coordinating the shipments of our strategic petroleum reserve to ship to them. Who else was shipping oil to China at very low prices? Iran. And now you know why the Biden administration wouldn't say anything about Iran, because they are on the same side. Okay? But we can't take F-35s and attack Chicago, New York. Of course, New York's getting closer to be a target if they keep up with that man-dammy bullshit. Okay, so By the way, just in case you don't know, voting by aliens are people who are considered illegal, is unlawful. 18 U.S. Code 611, voting by aliens. It shall be unlawful for any alien to vote in an election. Are they talking about people from Mars? I don't think so. If it's for a federal election, they can't vote. So why did the Democrats continue to bring in illegals so that they could try to win all the elections fraudulently? Can't America vote on its own? Okay, now I've talked about this before. I'm just running through these things. I'm hitting you up with all sorts of stuff you may not have heard before or whatever. Okay, 12 states plus DC provide comprehensive state-funded coverage for children regardless of immigration status. California, Connecticut, Illinois, Maine, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Utah, Vermont, Washington, and Washington, D.C. Why do they do this? Well, because we want the illegals to know that we're taking care of their family, so they stay and file fraudulent votes. NGOs use American tax dollars to relocate migrants. That's why the Democrats don't want the NGOs to go away. We must keep finding them, okay? This is Minnesota's most famous couple. Okay, they're from Somalia. They're not wearing their pirate hats. But this piece of garbage, female, in the Congress of the United States, how she got there, I don't know, except for fake votes from the Somalis. But she married her brother. Nothing wrong with that, is there? Here's a little note from Rep. Andy Biggs. In the middle of the night, the Democrats released a 2,741-page, $1.5 trillion government funding. We're scheduled to vote on it today around 12 hours later. This is no way to run a country. Really? Why do the Democrats want to run it this way? What are they, robbing banks and they don't want us catching them? Huh? Greater Idaho movement. All right, everybody that's trying to do a state movement, stop. Okay. How does it help the United States if we take 20 conservative red counties from Oregon and move them to Idaho? They don't get us any increase in senators. They don't get us any increase in House of Representatives. That's a mistake. Granted, Oregon has to do something about this, and that's what I'm going to talk about again. Same thing with New York. New York's a red state, yet it sure doesn't act like it. Now there's another one, New Illinois, is a nonprofit organization that educates Illinois citizens about their right to pursue the creation of a new state from the state of Illinois. Now, that's the only thing that makes sense, because that's my plan. That's my suggestion. IRS to hire 30,000 employees over the next 2 years. This is April 6, 2023. Have you ever called the IRS? Have you ever dealt with the IRS? Did the IRS ever return your call? Did the IRS ever do anything that didn't take them an extra 60 days? We need an extra 60 days. We need another 60 days because we hired all these DEI dumbos who can't know anything. And let me tell you something. I talked with one of them on the phone because there was a phone number that says, if you're having issues like this, call this number. So I called the number and she was like, I don't know. I've been here 3 weeks and they haven't trained me yet. 3 weeks, and they haven't trained her yet. But that's okay, because she's getting paid money, and she'll vote Democrat because it's the Democrats that go to the job. Okay, by the way, an insurrection is an organized and usually violent act of revolt or rebellion against an established government or governing authority of a nation, state, or other political entity by a group of its citizens or subjects, okay? So on January 6th, who was president of the United States?
Well, that was Donald Trump, Mike.
So in other words, the situation on January 6, 2021, that Nancy Pelosi says was an insurrection is correct. Nancy Pelosi was correct. It was an insurrection committed by her and the Democrats. Remember, commit the crime, but blame the other person. Fraud, 1007 fraud. The statute does not define the phrase obtained by fraud. Fraud is defined by non-technical standards and is not to be restricted by the common law definition. The Fourth Circuit, reviewing a conviction under 18 U.S.C., also noted that fraud is a broad term, which includes false representations, dishonesty, and deceit. The Constitution is not fraud. The Democrats are. Okay. Here's another one of these beauties. This is how you can tell the 2020 election fraud was a fraud. Another victory for voting rights. Remember, they had to find a way to get mail-in ballots authorized because they wanted to use it to steal the election. They couldn't have Trump. They couldn't have Trump get into election another year. Why can't Trump get reelected? Because look what he's doing. He's created all these jobs. He's got 10, 15, 20 trillion dollars coming into the country. America can't do well. How the hell is China going to take us over and pay all the communists in the Democratic Party their bonuses for screwing America? By a 2-1 vote, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans agreed with Texas and 17 other red states, those red states, that the key part of the law is unconstitutional. Really? The provision that requires all Americans to buy insurance or pay a penalty of their income tax is unconstitutional? You mean Obamacare's been unconstitutional since it came out of his mouth?
Oh, I'm afraid so, Mike.
Washington, D.C., Trump federal 2020 election subversion indictment. Okay, so the Democrats commit a crime. Everyone sees they commit a crime. But they have to charge Trump with their crimes. They steal documents, they go to Mar-a-Lago, and they steal documents there, and they claim it's Donald Trump. Okay? According to an unsealed indictment, Trump is charged with 1, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Now that's interesting. Conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. That's what the January 6th committee was doing to Americans, putting them in jail and threatening them that they could go to jail for 20 years for obstructing an official proceeding. Okay?
But they couldn't.
Why? Why couldn't they? Oh, because, do I have it here? I know I have it here. Hold on 1 second. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. In a 2-1 ruling, a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit said a lower court judge was wrong in dismissing the charge in 3 cases in which the judge concluded it didn't cover the defendant's conduct. The charge of obstruction of an official proceeding, which carries up to 20 years behind bars, that's what every January 6th person was threatened with, okay, is among the most widely used felony charges in the January 6th case. It has been brought up against extremists accused of plotting to stop the transfer of presidential power from Republican Donald Trump to Democrat Joe Biden, as well as in dozens of less serious cases. Okay? The problem was that there was no January 6th. There wasn't a January 6th. Here's proof there's no January 6th. Federal judge rules 1.7 trillion spending bill passed by Congress in 2022 is unconstitutional.
Oh, why was it unconstitutional, Mike?
A Lubbock, Texas federal judge ruled Tuesday that lawmakers unconstitutionally passed the 1.7 trillion government funding bill in 2022. Wow. You don't think that maybe Nancy Pelosi was so damn stupid that she did this earlier? They did so under a pandemic-era rule, allowing members of the U.S. House of Representatives to vote on the master by proxy instead of in person.
Really? So there was no quorum?
If there's no quorum, there's no action, no legal action, no ruling.
Mike, what are you going to do about that, huh? What are you trying to tell us?
I'm trying to tell you this. Hold on, I got it here. Listen here, I got it here. Okay. Has anyone ever heard of the Congressional Record? The Congressional Record, January 6th, 2021. What a coincidence. Mike, how did you find this? I bet you it must have been hidden away on Mars or the moon or something. Or in Trump's bathroom, I guess. You know, sometimes you gotta laugh at this shit because we're gonna laugh before we shoot them. Yeah. Firing squad is legal in Utah. I think it's Utah, and now in Idaho. So that's where we have the trials. I always kept saying Gitmo, but no, let's have the trials in Utah or Idaho, or have them in both. The House met at noon and was called to order by the Speaker pro tempore, Mr. Swalwell.
Wait a minute. You mean the guy that's a criminal just left?
Why was he made Speaker pro tem? Oh, Nancy, what were you doing on January 6, 2021? Organizing a insurrection behind the windows and the walls in every building you were trying to hide in? The Speaker pro tem laid before the House of following communications from the Speaker. I hereby appoint the Honorable Eric Swalwell to act as Speaker pro temp on this day. Why, Nancy? You only have a pro temp when
the Speaker's not going to be there.
Where's he going to be? Nancy wasn't even here for her own hanging. Okay, well, that's nice. But the Speaker, as the House comes to order for the important historic meeting, let us remind that each side, House and Senate, Democrats and Republicans, each have 11 members allowed to be present on the floor. So Democrats get 11, Republicans get 11. Others may be in the gallery, but you can't vote in the gallery. You can't vote when you're in your office, so you're not part of the quorum. So let's see, if there's 100 senators and 435 House of Representatives, that's 500 some odd people in a joint gathering. So you have to have a quorum of what, 250, 251?
Oh no, they only had 44, Mike. What's that mean?
What's it mean? Means Joe Biden's never been president of the United States.
How could that be? He was there for 4 years or 1 month or whatever the hell he was doing.
Yes. Matter of fact, under the Congressional Record, let me read this to you. This is also January 6th. Mr. Vice President, I am not attempting to debate. I'm trying to find out how a parliamentary inquiry or a parliamentary joint of order would be made in following with the Speaker's request that most of us not be on the floor.
Oh no, she's in trouble, huh?
The criminal bitch. The millionaire criminal bitch. How do you make one of these points of order when you don't know what is going to happen later? Vice President Criminal, respectfully, the gentleman's parliamentary inquiry constitutes debate, which is not permitted in the joint session. It's not debate, asshole. Documented proof in the Congressional Record. Yes, I'm afraid that Joe Biden and everything he did, everything he signed is null and void. Why do you think they decided not to bother him while he was sleeping and they use the autopen all the time. Doesn't matter. His signature is null and void. The Democrats knew that. But since when do the Democrats not commit a crime when they know they're committing a crime? Because they know they're committing a crime. That's why they commit the crime. Okay? Huh? Look at Watergate. Really, look at Watergate. And I know that you probably don't know that they went in May and broke in May, but they didn't get caught, so they had to do it again. Except this time, when they went in June, the FBI and the Washington Post were there in the building waiting for them. Is that a setup? Watergate was one of the biggest frauds in American history. Okay, back to Trump, the major criminal. Attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. Now, in order to be found guilty of attempting to obstruct an official proceeding, had to do with documentation. Documentation. Trump pleaded not guilty at his arraignment in Washington, D.C. on October 7th. The court entered a gag order prohibiting Trump from making public statements. We do not want the truth to get out. So you need to shut up. You can't say anything.
Oh, what's this then?
Justices ruled for January 6th defendant. The Supreme Court on Friday threw out the charges against the former Pennsylvania police officer who entered the U.S. Capitol during the January 6, 2021 attacks. Were they really attacks? Yes, they were. The Capitol Police attacked the people. That came out in all these interviews of these people when they were finally released. That's why they had to stay in jail. Because as long as they're in jail, people can't know the true story. But as soon as they were let out with Trump, oh, now everybody knows the criminal activity that still has not been met out for these people that did what they did. Remember, they only killed a million senior citizens with the pandemic. And then they took the $245 billion that no longer was going to the dead people and used it to pay for all the illegals so the illegals would vote and take over and help steal America. The Supreme Court on Friday threw out the charge against the former Pennsylvania police officer who entered the U.S. Capitol during the January 6, 2020 attacks by a vote of 6-3. There's 6 real Supreme Court justices and there's 3 fake ones, known as Democrats. The justices ruled that the law that Joseph Fisher was charged with violating, which bars obstruction of an official proceeding, applies only to evidence tampering. Are you trying to tell me that all the people on January 6th were put in jail on this charge that didn't matter? It didn't follow. And are you trying to tell me that it was the Republican judge, okay, the Republican judge did not allow that to happen, but he was overturned by the criminal Democrat appeals court? Huh? Yeah, baby. Friday's ruling could affect charges against more than 300 other January 6 defendants. It's on all of them. Why is it on all of them? Because every single one of them was told they had to admit to a crime. What? Sir, we have video of you walking by the store. Did you go into the store and rob it with a gun and shoot 3 people? No, I don't own a gun. Are you sure? Because we have this rule here that people who walk by grocery stores can be found to be committing a crime, especially in Mamdani's New York City area. Somalis al-Shabaab vows to fight any Israeli use of Somaliland after recognition. Oh, wow. So in other words, we need to get people from Somalia. Bring them here to the United States. Let's seed them into certain areas. And then let them commit every crime they possibly can to steal from the American people and do nothing about it. Yeah. That's why Dershowitz Alan Dershowitz has left the Democratic Party and he's become a Republican because the Democrats are anti-Semitic scumbag, Somali pirate loving, whatever you want to call them. I'm so sick of it. Okay, we didn't even talk about that. Okay. The Justice Department has argued that the offense punishing anyone who corruptly obstructs or impedes an official proceeding clearly fits the conduct of the rioters who halted Congress's certification of Biden's 2020 election. But the Republican U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols found that prosecutors stretched the law, its scope, to inappropriately apply it to these cases. Nichols ruled that a defendant must have taken some action with respect to a document, a record, or other object in order to obstruct an official proceeding under the law. The Democrats in Washington, D.C. used a phony part of a law to put people and keep them in jail. Basically, what happened was this: okay, you can get 20 years for this. So agree that you're guilty of chewing bubblegum or something in a non-bubblegum chewing area, and we'll keep you in prison for about a year, and then you'll get out. You'll have nothing left, and I'm still waiting. I haven't seen any lawsuits. I I guess it was 1,500 people that were illegally arrested, didn't commit a crime, but Nancy Pelosi's team.
Now those are some criminals.
Oh, here's another criminal. Trump's 91 criminal charges and where they stand. They stand in the water, in Indonesia, in the Philippines, because you're all wet with this. As of December 23rd, Donald Trump has been personally charged with 91 criminal offenses in 4 criminal cases. How freaking ridiculous is that? Remember the 46, the accounting ones?
Oh, he made a journal entry, that's a crime. Oh, he made a checkout, that's a crime. Or
correctly accounting is illegal in the state of New York when the judge is being charged to go ahead and commit the crime because his daughter needs the money and she works for the Democrats. COVID-19 pandemic timeline. The pandemic was acknowledged in January 2020. Why were the Democrats, why did the Democrats file in October of 2019? I've done shows on this with the top criminal of the criminal lawyer group in Washington, D.C. that's actually been around in Seattle since 1912. What a coincidence! 1912, 1913. Huh. They must have been planning this shove it up America's ass for years. Highlights: Harris declares election will be choice between freedom and chaos. She's right. If you had voted for Kamala, it would be chaos from the side chick. If you voted for Trump, it'd be freedom. Well, Americans voted for freedom, and they voted for Trump. House Democrats sues Trump, Giuliani, and 2 far-right groups over Capitol riot. This was another fraud committed by another Democrat named Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson is a millionaire. He comes from a district with the second lowest poverty in the nation. Benny, how long have you been in Congress for? What? 20 some odd years? So you've been reelected like 11 times, 12 times? And everybody in your district is poor, but you're rich? I guess it makes sense. Democrats like black people, but only rich black people that they can make them do whatever they want them to do. Because they sure as hell don't like black people now because they ain't voting for them. That's why they had to bring in, this was the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. That's what they charged Trump with. And the Ku Klux Klan Act was signed by It was signed by Ulysses S. Grant. I don't see it here. Okay, anyways. Yeah, Ulysses S. Grant came up with that law. Why? Because for some reason the Democrats are attacking black people and trying to prevent them from voting. House passes $2 trillion spending bill but braces for changes in the Senate. In a matter of 2 years, the Democrats, after stealing an election. Now, by the way, because the election didn't happen in 2020, it didn't happen. It's noted in the record of the Congress, and the Texas judge has already ruled that if there's no quorum, there's no meeting, there's no laws passed. Biden was never president. I do not understand why nobody is doing anything about this. What's going on? You know, Dershowitz just became a Republican. Give him something to do. Let him go after some people. Okay. Before I get to the main topic, I just had to catch you guys up on stuff because I haven't been doing a lot of shows. I've been busy with a lawsuit that is going pretty good so far. I can't say anything about it because it's a secret. Okay, there's some secret stuff that'll come out when I'm standing in court. My mouth is starting to move. Okay. They won't allow me to bring in a samurai sword, so you'll just have to visualize the head being chopped off. All right, Counterattack 2026, Mike Wiley. You know him. I've known him for a long time. So, I'm a numbers guy, okay? I look at numbers and I logically conclude what's going on. First of all, if there's a crime being committed, a crime's been committed. The odds are that 99% of the crimes are committed by Democrats. So, we have a state known as Washington. And Washington has 39 total counties. 39. 26 of them are red. And 13 are blue. See Washington? See Washington right here? Yeah, it's a red state. It's a red state. But understand how democracy works. We load 7 billion people into one little square, and then all the people in the other squares don't get any rights. Majority rules. Communism rules. Marxism rules. Second Amendment rules, baby. Keep it up. And I'm not an extremist. If I was an extremist, I'd be in jail now. But I'd have some badges, like the Boy Scouts. 26 counties in Washington are red, 13 are blue. The 26 red counties have a total of 2 representatives. So 1 out of every 13 counties gets a representative. The 13 blue counties in Washington, they have 8 representatives. Oh, really? Yeah. So what it works out is you've got Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, New York. There's a total of 465 counties. 353 counties are red. The majority of these states is red. That means Republicans are the majority, within reason of non-existent illegals being stuffed into buildings in the blue areas and then counted on as votes, even though it's illegal. So there are no red senators from these states. None. All the senators are blue Democrats. The House, there's 31 representatives for these 353 counties. They get 31 reps. Where are you going with this, Mike? I'm getting there, okay? Follow me. Follow me. Because if you're going to make a case on anything, you got to know the facts. You have to have the conclusion. And you have to be able to shove it up their ass in court. That is such a wonderful feeling, okay? Well, Mike, how can you tell you shoved it up their ass? Because their face looks like this. You ever see Wiley Coyote, the Roadrunner? he runs off the cliff, but he hasn't fallen yet, and you see his face, and it's like, yeah, that's it. That's it. So the 353 red counties have a total of 31 reps. That's like 1 rep for every 11 counties. But the 112 blue counties have 100 reps. That's like almost 1 rep for every blue county. Does that make sense?
Well, that's how we set it up to be a majority democracy.
My plan is to secede the blue counties away. I've talked about this before. I've done shows on it. And now we have an issue. And the issue is Virginia. And Virginia is trying to go ahead and change the laws. See? Most of Virginia voted against that screw job plan to steal electoral votes and steal House seats. Now, here's the game plan. What came first? The state, the congressional district, or the county? What was created first?
Well, let's see. We weren't a country, so we didn't have any states. And we didn't have any Congress, so there were no congressional districts.
So the country started out with counties. I live in Pasco County. When I filed my lawsuit against WinRed, it was filed in the courts at Pasco County. No congressional districts have courts. The counties have courts. Why? Because counties are legal. The congressional districts are not legal. Why are they not legal? Because you can change them any date, any damn day you want to, depending on whose butt you shove stuff up. Okay, Mike, do you have any precedent to prove what you're saying? Now, remember, I'm not an attorney, but I play one on television. But I have been known in pro se law to
kick some ass.
Okay, the Suffolk Resolves was a declaration made on September 9th, 1774 by the leaders of Suffolk County, Massachusetts. The declaration rejected the Massachusetts Government Act. Now, Massachusetts wasn't a state because there was no country, but evidently they were going to make it a state. If they did, it was going to be named Massachusetts. So the Massachusetts Government Act and resulted in a boycott of imported goods from Britain unless the intolerable acts were repealed. These acts that were passed by the British government in Massachusetts. The resolves were recognized by statesman Edmund Burke as a major development in colony. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. I got lost for a second. You know, I was looking at the wrong thing and just check, make sure the microphone's working. So the resolves were recognized by statesman Edmund Burke as a major development in colonial animosity, leading to adoption of the United States Declaration of Independence. The Suffolk Resolves resulted in the Declaration of Independence. I guess they were important. So why are congressional districts considered more important than the counties?
Oh, because the counties.
I believe Donald Trump in the last election took 2,500 American counties, and Kamala, the side chick, took around 400 or 500. You know, just like Biden, same numbers as Biden, but for some reason Biden got 15 million more votes. How do you figure that? Huh? Where did they come from? On August 26th, August 27th, the Committee of Correspondence from Suffolk Middlesex, Essex, and Worcester counties met at Faneuil Hall. I spoke at Faneuil Hall. And I spoke at Faneuil Hall in, I think it was the first week of September, 1995. And it occurred 1 week before I was yanked off the air by Hillary Rodham Clinton for speaking the truth. It's against the law to speak the truth in radio, especially with her. Actually, I threatened her. No, I didn't threaten to kill her. No. I didn't threaten to run her over in a car. No. I threatened to run against her in the U.S. Senate race in Massachusetts for Ted Kennedy's seat. There was no way she was going to face me in a debate because she watched me beat the crap out of her brother the year before the 94 U.S. Senate race, which she so conveniently came down to make sure I didn't win after a poll came out and showed I was going to win. Yeah. She had to make sure I didn't win the Democratic primary. But I was definitely going to win the general because 1 million Democrat gun owners in the state of Florida were voting for Mikey. They weren't voting for Connie Mack, whose real name is Cornelius McGillicuddy III. Yeah. So, and each county in turn closed its court and issued a set of resolves to explain its actions. Okay, so what's going on? As with other counties' resolves, the Suffolk document denounced the intolerable acts, or coercive acts, which had recently been passed by the British Parliament and specifically resolved the following. Number 1, boycott British imports, curtail exports, and refuse to use British products. Okay. That's not firing guns. Pay no obedience to the Massachusetts Government Act or the Boston Port Bill. Oh, really? Demand resignations for those appointed to positions under the Massachusetts Government Act. Refuse payment of taxes until the Massachusetts Government Act was repealed. Now, the Massachusetts Government Act has never been repealed. That's why Maura Healey is governor, taxing the living shit out of the American people that live in Massachusetts. Not the non-American people. The non-American people live in Massachusetts for free. Support a colonial government in Massachusetts free of royal authority until the intolerable acts were repealed. Number 6. My favorite number 6. When I played sports, I played semi-pro soccer. Actually, when I played soccer in college, I was number 6. And when I played amateur highlight, I was number 6. Number 6, urge the colonies to raise corn. What? Raise corn? Oh. No, not raise corn. Raise cows. No, that wasn't it. What would you raise if your country or your state or your county was under attack by communist scumbag bitches? You'd raise the militia! Oh, look! Here it is! Urge the colonies to raise militia of their own people. Goodbye! Second Amendment, baby! So, the founding of this nation was started by county government. Can you now understand what I'm about to say? See what's going on in Virginia? Did you see this? Let me show this to you again. If you can see it clear. See all these little things, these little borders, those are all counties. I live in Pasco County in Florida. You know what every county has? Every county has a jail. Every county has a courthouse. Maybe several of them because of the size of the county. In Pasco County, we have 3 sections for county government, 3 courthouses. We have county police, county sheriffs. We have county law. Are there any sheriffs for any political congressional districts? Hi, I'm a congressional district policeman. Yeah, sure. Get out of here. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Are you trying to tell me that 2,500 counties voted for Trump and 450 voted for the stupid bitch? Ball game over. How many times have I got to tell you?
You can't go out and play until you get your county going.
County government. Use it. Here's what I recommend. Okay. More than likely, if you're in a red state or if you're in a red county, there's a good chance that your sheriff is a Republican. And let me tell you something. If you live out in the country and even though your county sheriff may be a Democrat, he may be a pro-American Democrat. You know, there's still some of them out there. And he will follow the law and support and defend the law and the Constitution as he has sworn to do. So my guess is that out of the 500 some odd blue counties, I'm going to say 350 of them are pro-American. So I'm guessing that there's only 150 counties in the United States that is against the United States are pro-communist Chinese, pro-Islamic terrorists, pro-Marxist Democrat triads. And that if you get off your ass and you go to your courthouse and you go in to see the sheriff and you sit down with the sheriff and say, hey, what are we going to do about this? Okay? I'm talking to you, Virginia. They stole your election in 2020. They stole it so badly that they decided not to do their normal audit review to make sure it was correct because they knew it wasn't. They knew they stole the election. Okay? How come Biden was winning 80% of the mail-in votes, but he was splitting the non-mail-in votes, 48-52 with Trump, back and forth, back and forth? How come there were so many more mail-in ballots that were Democrat versus non-mail-in? Is it possible that a good chunk of those mail-in ballots were fake mail-in ballots, and now we see that the people in Pennsylvania threw away 100,000 Trump votes, mail-in votes? Okay, so now we're finding out that Mike Wiley was right all along when I said the election was stolen, and I gave you all the explanation, and I proved to you how you can tell it was stolen. Okay, why? Because within 2 weeks of that election, the NAACP came out and sued Donald Trump on the Ku Klux Klan Act because he was trying to prevent 4 black people in Detroit from voting. Really? That's it? And we got that congressman from the 2nd District in Mississippi, the millionaire that lives with poverty-stricken people. 20 years, hasn't done a damn thing for his people except maybe get them new popsicle sticks or something. Hey, I'm just telling you what you can do. And if you want my help, look at my website, WileyInfonet.com, WileyInfonet.com. I'll help you. Hey, I'm not going to say I'm a son of liberty. I'm from Boston. Yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Okay? I just told you how to win this damn thing. You're going to sit there and you're going to watch these assholes steal this election right in front of your face? Because that's what they're trying to do. Now, maybe you can find some pro-American Democrat or Republican lawyers. Maybe you can even find people who took my original name of America First and added it to their law firms. And because I can't seem to get them to do a damn thing. What are they busy doing? What are they all busy doing? They're not doing the right thing. They are not doing the right thing. They're ignoring the battle. Are they chicken shit? Yeah, I think they are. I think they're chicken shit. And I think the reason why they're chicken shit is because they know that maybe the United States may be 51% American, 49% communist, but the lawyers in this country are probably 75% communist, 25% American. And they can't survive making a living in that realm. They can't. I have a lawsuit now, but I'm representing myself. Why pay an attorney? Why should I put out $5,000 for an attorney that's not going to think like I think? It's not like I haven't been in court before. I've been doing pro se law since 2000. Yeah, my first case was my first divorce. Oh, they were going to take advantage of Mikey, but it didn't work. Yeah, they did. We're going to make sure he doesn't get a damn cent. I got half. Half? How could I get half in a debate? A divorce? What was I, half the marriage? I know, I was like the husband, right? And she was the wife. So I was the man, and she was the woman. And I got half the money. Why?
Because I'm not stupid.
I love you. Bye.